And welcome back to Commerce, Texas for another edition of the Inside Line Athletics Podcast. Avi Meta here with, first up, with Director of Athletics, Jim Curry.
How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Busy
week once again,
Yeah.
It's been only 4 or 5 days, but it feels like a long time with the amount of basketball games we hosted since last Thursday.
Yeah, it was. It came fast. 4 games, 5 days, and then we'll take nothing this weekend.
Yeah,
which I guess is kind of weird.
Yeah,
kind of weird.
With the snow coming, that's not be a bad thing.
Probably not a bad thing.
Yeah.
To that point, have been working a little bit this week to just work through some of the travel logistics with our teams, and actually the way this weekend worked out kind of on the front end of the schedule is that we just had the single game on the women's side with that game at RGV, which is probably the best place for them to be right now in the league, and then the men they've kind of been able to make some adjustments, and then they've got to make the swing. So part of the calculus there too is they've got the Northwestern State RGV swing, which is kind of a wonky swing.
Yeah.
So making sure that we can get to the back end of that trip is kind of an important part of the analysis here. And then we got track starting this week too down at A&M, and so making sure they can get out of there too. But we're cranking it back up, and we got spring physicals for our mid-year enrollees. We'll have probably 20, 25 mid-year enrollees across all sports coming in, which is great. There's some good things happening across all of our sports that are recruiting mid-year. And in particular football, so excited about when we kind of can put all that information out. But then semester starts on Monday, so it's we're rocking and rolling back in it.
Yeah, you touched on semester starting. We just got the grades back for the last fall, and it was another good semester in the classroom for the Lions.
Yeah, appreciate you mentioning that. We talked last week about how we're taking that investment from our donors and getting great returns on developing great athletes, right, with some of the accolades we saw this fall. But we knew what was happening on the academic side. Now we kind of get to see the proof of that in those results. So 354 student athletes this past fall across all 354 semester GPA of 3.02. So that's a great number. I think about 2/3 of them have a 3.0 or better GPA for the term. The cumulative GPA across all 354 is sitting at a 3.14.
Yeah.
We just came off the fall where we had, was it 20 graduates in December? 20 graduates in December. And so, really proud of what our student athletes are doing there. And, I think one of the things that probably gets lost a little bit in the transition from D2 to D1 is what we're seeing on the academic outcomes relative to D2. It's fair to say we had some good academic outcomes while we were still a Division II program, but the bar's been raised.
Yeah.
And I think we know that with that transition comes higher academic benchmarks and progress toward degree benchmarks, but also some more challenges relative to transfer portal and onboarding students that way. But to credit to our coaches and our student athletes, they've really stepped up, and so we're seeing great academic outcomes. I'm excited to kind of work through at the end of the spring our next round of graduation success data, because we can see what's happening contemporaneously and we know it's going the right direction, and I think we could really be in a record-breaking setting there relative to graduation outcomes. So again, continue to be really proud of our coaches and our student athletes for what they're doing and being responsive to more demands on them from their time athletically, but then getting great academic outcomes. And so again, grateful for the investment that we get from our donors to be able to invest not just in the athletic side, but see great return on the academic side as well.
Absolutely. And then you touched on a little bit about the transfer portal that, all the fall sports have been very busy in the portal. All 3, soccer, volleyball, and football, will have multiple signees that will be those mid-year enrollees. You get any good look or any first looks at the student athletes coming in?
Yeah. I think we're going to, I'm really pleased at the work that we've been doing there. What I think more than anything, too, is, and I think we know this being on campus, but when we get prospective students here and they get a chance to just kind of feel the place a little bit, it really pulls at them in a really positive way. And so, we feel like if we can get students, prospective students to campus, and really across all sports, but really across the university as well, they'll find what we kind of all know and love about the place. And so, we're seeing high-level transfers in soccer. We've seen that for a number of years now. Obviously, the Cadence was a high-level transfer from Alabama, who was now Player of the Year in the league. We're seeing that in volleyball. We're seeing that in football as well. And so they've been very active. And, what I like about what they're doing, too, is getting some blend. Yeah. They've got some high school guys. They've got some JUCO guys. They've got some 4-year guys. And so, which I think is the right approach right now. You got to figure that out. I was actually just talking to Val a little bit. We had a recruit on campus this past weekend, and they had a great visit. And, I think, but there was a high school student. Yeah. And, we were kind of talking about what that looks like now. Last week we were talking with Charlie a little bit about this too, and they were talking about an event that takes place over Christmas that's usually in the DFW that's got a ton. It usually has got a ton of attendance, and the number of college coaches going to it now has actually fallen off quite a bit from one of the showcase events that in the past. And our folks are there, which is great. And so again, continuing to find that right mix, but still again, little challenged by the fluidity of the overall environment.
Yeah, one of those events, I had a chance to work at it last year, and I was surprised that there were no Division I coaches at the event. It was all the top high school. It was a boys tournament, but it was all top high schools in Texas, and I saw a lot of Division II coaches, but none on the Division I side, and so it really speaks to the culture of college basketball at this point. Yeah,
no doubt. But I think the other thing too is what we were kind of talking about is maybe there's some folks that slip through the cracks, right? Yeah. And that used to be the way it worked for a long time. That kind of got a little bit corrected, but now with just so many different avenues of approach, talking with Val a little bit, she thinks there may be some folks that end up falling through the cracks, and so remaining attentive to that space while at the same time the JUCO and the 4-year space is important. And I think if you look at her roster mix, that she's definitely done that. Clint's doing that, obviously. And again, Joe and Ashley have been really successful there. Track, I'm excited about a potential 4-year transfer in track that could be a real difference maker for us. And so we'll see when that one kind of gets across the finish line here. But, we talk about that break period, but our group, our particular coaches stay very active, and also our support staff stay very active, leading up through Christmas, through the new year, up until that first day of the term. And thankfully, the semester is about a week later start than it was last year, which helps us with that onboarding quite a bit, as you know.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. And then you just touched on Coach King. Obviously, they played their first 2 games in 45 days in the field house this past weekend. Went 1-1 against Nichols and McNeese, but really great crowds all throughout the weekend in both men's basketball and women's basketball.
Yeah, the crowds were outstanding. So appreciate folks coming out. We had fun on Saturday with the kids, and we had the bounce houses, and I think even some of the big kids got in there too a little bit too. So it was really fun though. But again, appreciate folks coming out. It makes a difference. It certainly does. And our coaches notice it. Our kids certainly feel it. They build off of it. Obviously we didn't get what we wanted on Saturday on the floor, but our fan presence, the support that we got and continue to get, it's making an impact. So just know more than anything, our student athletes feel it. And so again, we're excited to be back at home a little bit more regularly here. We'll be back in 2 weekends. And again, we need folks. And again, excited to get the students back as well. That'll make a difference. But again, appreciate everybody coming out, and they're working their tails off, and we'll see what we can do. Finish strong here in the South and play.
Correct. What else do you want to touch on?
Convention next week.
Okay.
So headed out to NCAA convention next week. I'll be there Tuesday, Wednesday. It's in Nashville, and so obviously the kind of the overall state of affairs in college athletics right now will be a hot topic there. We'll be spending some time getting a little bit of updates on the reclass side as well. So excited to kind of be in the home stretch there.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's fair to say that we're certainly in the back half of that, 3 more semesters. And so really what's happening now on campus relative to that is we've got multiple working groups on campus that have been put together, comprised of actually predominantly folks outside of athletics, to really kind of do a very detailed deep dive into our operations relative to athletics.
Yeah.
And so it's a self-study analysis that will then have a peer review team evaluate that in the fall next year. But it's what I love about it is that you're bringing all of campus together as part of this process. And what I think really it speaks to, and I think it's really important, is that this move to Division I athletics, and you've heard the president talk about it before, this move to Division I athletics is not just an athletics move, it's an institutional move, right? And we're going D1 as an institution. And in order to do Division I athletics at a really high level and have consistent success across all areas of the enterprise, academically, socially, athletically, is that it takes the entire university to buy into that. And we've gotten great support, and I think this exercise helps to bring some people along that maybe didn't realize they were part of the process, right? But also better inform. And the other thing, too, that I love about athletics is I think a lot of times it's a microcosm of the larger campus community, particular student population. And so when we see areas that we can get better in or areas for improvement or areas of success within our student-athlete population, those can translate, or we can inform decision-making that can help to serve our entire student population as well. And so, one of the things when we talk about academic outcomes, right? Like maybe there's some things we're doing from an academic perspective that can translate well in other areas, and maybe there's things that are happening across the university that can be applied to athletics to help us elevate even further. And so that's what I love about this exercise. And we'll see. There's going to be some conversation next week too about the potential of truncating that timeline even further. We're so far along. I don't know if that's going to be really applicable to us or an opportunity for us, but we're going to continue to push that. And so, I'm excited about the continued process of where we're going. Again, I think sometimes we want to measure it based on outcomes on the court or on the field. That's not always the best way to do it. That matters for sure. Yeah. And trust me, we're hyper focused on that. But we're as equally focused on what's happening behind the scenes with the infrastructure, the support, the resources, the academics. And again, I think we'll have some announcements here in the next week or so that continue to further illustrate that upward trajectory, that back-end processing behind the scenes that really speak to the growth trajectory of Lion Athletics and the university as a whole. So that's a little bit of a teaser for something kind of coming here soon for folks that I wish I could probably say a little bit more about right now. But
me too.
We'll get some more info on it soon. But
wish I could just do it, but I can't.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah. Right, exactly. That's exactly right. So, so that's next week. And then we'll be back home for hoops again. So, and then we'll blink and 36 home games in softball will be here. So, that's it.
I was planning out the ESPN schedule that we have to send to the conference earlier today. I was looking at it. I was like, oh, yeah, it's pretty busy. Pretty busy time's coming.
But, we've got, looking ahead quite about a month from now, but what is it, the 13th through the 23rd of February? We have at least one home event every single day.
Yeah. Including two power forwards coming to Commerce.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, in softball. That's right. And some doubleheader basketball in there as well.
Doubleheader basketball. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we got to get a day in there where we've got 4 home games.
Correct.
Between softball, men's and women's basketball on the same day. Yeah. So so it's we're certainly not short on things to do. That's for sure. But again, I think we talk about the impact of athletics overall and what it means in terms of bringing that to our community. Mm-hmm. Right, and so part of what we're doing here is that we serve our community, we serve our surrounding areas, Hunt County, surrounding counties, Commerce, the city of Commerce, and when we can bring a home event for 11 straight days, and not only just us for 11 games, but other teams that are competing against one another in games that we're not competing in, across multiple sports. That impact is felt within our community in a really positive way economically. And so, again, that's something that we think about in this entire enterprise as we position our athletics program, go about scheduling. That's really important to us. So just our local community is important as we go through this.
Yeah, and you touched on it. I was looking at the Rutgers softball announced their schedule yesterday, and they start the season at Spring Games, which is one of the most prestigious softball tournaments. They come here the second week, and then they go to the Mary Noter Classics, which is usually the preview of the national championship. Just speaks volume too, a program in the Big Ten choosing to come to Commerce, Texas for that second week and not going somewhere else to a bigger tournament.
Yeah, no question. Yeah, they're bookending it with two of the premier events in the sport, and they're coming here. So again, I think it speaks to what we're doing here. I think it says a lot about the experience that we're providing for those teams when they come in. Obviously we had Oklahoma here this fall. There's plans for them to return as well, and so it's important that when we bring these teams in, we get an opportunity to bring them back as well. And so, again, we don't want them to be too comfortable, right? Knocking them off isn't the worst thing either, but making sure that their kids are taken care of just like we take care of our own while they're here in competition. But, yeah, I think it says a lot about what we're doing here and how we're trying to position this overall for the benefit of the greater good.
Well, thanks, Jim, thank you so much for stopping by. We'll see you in a couple weeks, I guess.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right.
All right, go Lions.
Go Lions. We'll have a couple coaches here joining us soon. Stay tuned on the Inside Line Athletics podcast. And welcome back inside the Line Athletics podcast, and we're now joined by women's basketball coach Valerie King. Coach, 1-1 weekend, but you finally got to place a couple of home games last weekend against McNeese and Nichols. What did you see out of that weekend?
Obviously, great to be back home. Great to be back in front of our own crowd. I thought Thursday night we were who we are. Who I think we are. We did some really good things on both ends of the floor. Really gutted one out there at the end. I thought we were really good Thursday night. And on the flip side, Saturday I think we were good for about 20 minutes. The first half was pretty good. Halftime happens, and then, we go stone cold in the second half, and, just can't really get anything going our way against McNeese.
You touched on the McNeese game, and, because of the weird scheduling quirk this year, you didn't get it really back-to-back games for a little while because last time you played back-to-back were at that Phoenix tournament.
Right.
Do you think maybe it played a factor in just – because throughout the December it was just one game a week?
Yeah, I mean – I guess you could maybe a little bit, but this is our schedule. You know what I'm saying? So we've got to be able to flip it, win or lose on a Thursday night, be able to flip it and be ready to go on Saturday afternoon.
And then going back to that Nichols game, obviously an opponent that we went 1-1 against last year, and so it was a pretty big win to get, coming into the game having lost a few, to just get that win on the board. Yeah,
I mean, Nichols is, probably playing some of their best basketball. They had a really good non-conference slate, had some really good wins. It was a good win for us, and, not just beating them, but I think we, like I said before, and like I told our kids Thursday night, I think we saw what we're capable of, kind of putting everything together. I thought we were pretty sound on the defensive end, good on the offensive end. So, for me, it was just for our kids to, feel that and see that we are capable of what they showed.
Go into another week where you just have one game this coming Thursday. You play at UTRGV, the first time you've seen them, a new conference newcomer, but obviously a team that, any team that goes down to the Valley has been a tough place to play with just 3 home losses against better opponents for them.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they're a good team. They're great coach and Coach Lane. They'll do some stuff that can bother us. Our game plan will be maybe a little bit different than anything we've done this year. Just trying to take advantage of what our advantages are on the defensive end. And trying to force a few more turnovers.
So with UTRGV, they had a couple common opponents in Abilene Christian, and they've already played a few conference opponents that we've seen, and so we're able to draw something out of those games as you were scouting for the Vaqueros.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've watched a handful of their games, maybe even a few more than that. Just trying to get a handle on them. It's a little different when I've never played them. I've never played their coaches or anything. So I think just watching as much film and just going off of other people's game plans, just to try to form our game plan, what it should be. All the help we can get.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, the last 2 games, Jasmine Payne, who came off the bench but was leading scorer in one of the games and then the second leading scorer in the game. What have you seen from her? Was it just getting a little bit of a break for her to reset it offensively?
Yeah, I mean, I think Jazz can be that good, and her and I have these conversations quite a bit. I think our game Thursday night as a team, showing what our kids are capable of. I think that's what Jazz is seeing, what she is capable of. When she has the right mindset and when she's ready to go. And she not only was she scoring, she's locked in on the defensive end for us and rebounding as well.
Well, Coach, thank you so much. I know you got to get ready for practice, get ready for heading down to UTRGV. Stay safe with all the weather, and we'll see you guys on Thursday.
All right. Thanks, Avi.
That's Coach Valerie King. We'll have a couple more coaches here joining us shortly. Stay tuned. And welcome back inside for the Inside Line Athletics podcast. We're now joined by track and field head coach George Pincock. Coach, it's meet week for you guys headed down to A&M this weekend.
We're just trying to be fast, beat the storm, and get the season started right.
You know, it's been a long time coming for the season to start at A&M, and, you know, how special is it to have a chance to compete at a brand-new facility like A&M?
This is my first time to that facility to compete. I've been here since 2015, so I'm looking forward to it. You know, it's a very, very nice facility, one of the best. Between that, their outdoor track, their practice track, it's a place that will host, you know, world-caliber track and field over the next 4 or 5 years.
You know, they're hosting the SEC championships later this year, and then you got a couple chances to go back there. But, you know, just overall the team going into the first indoor meet of the season, you had some distance runners competed in Pittsburgh State in December, but really this is the first team meet of the year for you guys heading into the A&M meet.
You know, we just want to get people on the track, give them the opportunity to be in a competitive environment and see how they rise. You know, I think we've had a really, really solid fall of training. And, again, maybe not completely race sharp. We've been away on break, coming back, people with different access to facilities while they're away. But just give them that opportunity to kind of see what they do, how big their eyes get, and who decides that it's important to them and wants to you know, chase greatness.
You know, touching on a little bit about just all the different event groups, you know, what have you seen out of your sprinters going into it? You know, obviously weather has played a factor in the training once they got to campus last week with the cold weather in Texas, but what have you seen from the sprinters from where we left off in Houston last May until now?
You know, it's been really exciting bringing back a core group of sprinters that had a really good championship meet and adding a lot of young faces to them. You know, we didn't lose anyone that raced at Houston last year at our conference championship, and where we've added some young guys that we think can, you know, fit in pretty well right away, not a year or two from now, but right away. And then we've seen that in practice.
And then on the women's side, on the sprinter side, you know, a lot of them elected not to compete in this spring, but, you know, had a really good indoor season before that happened.
Yeah, you know, I think last year when we looked at the women's team, we saw some things, some talent that was right there. We made some strategic choices to kind of build the team that would be, I think, a lot better this year. And I'm confident about that. We bring a lot of those same girls back, and we've added a lot of new faces, again, just like the men who can come in and contribute.
And then on the jump side, both vertical and horizontal, you know, another great conference championship meet in all 4 events, but really adding even more depth to going into this year.
Yeah, you know, we just lost one of our great high jumpers to the portal. He'll be in the SEC next year, so that makes 2. But I believe we're doing things right if we're losing them to the SEC. So, you know, I think we've got some guys that will come in and continue to produce and do well. And, you know, in our program, we don't worry too much about those type of things. Our motto and the way we think is really who's ready to kind of take that position. You know, the door is open. Someone's got to be the leader. Someone's got to be the best high jumper on the team. Is it you? Are you ready? Have you let this opportunity, like, you know, just kind of slip by?
Yeah.
So just excited about that group too.
And then distance, touch on just, you know, they got it, obviously had a great cross country showing both on the men's and the women's side, and then had that early meet. But what have you seen from distance progressing from that point from cross country season into indoor now?
Yeah, I've got to give a lot of credit to Mark Hammeter. You know, he came in and took over a program that hadn't had a lot of stability over the last 7 or 8 years. And he's got a group now that's bought in and believing what they do. That men's team at Southland Conference Championship in October was really just some bad luck away from being a top 3 team. And, you know, if you look at the team, they might be the most improved group on the team. And then same with the women. You know, the numbers aren't quite there yet, but the expectations in that group continue to grow, and the girls continue to step up to the plate.
And then touching obviously on throw side of during the indoor season, it'll be a lot smaller group than once we get outdoors. But especially in those ones that will compete in the indoor season, what have you seen from them?
Yeah, we're in a bit of a transition. Our throws coach that had been here since COVID stepped away for some health reasons, and we've kind of filled that gap. Finalized with a signature. Joe Brown's going to be on staff. Always good to say you have an Olympian on staff. And our kids are excited about it. So I think they're going to continue to get better, right? That's a group that's young. I think the oldest person in that group is a junior. So there's a lot of room for improvement there.
And then, starting with the meet this weekend against A&M, and then you had just basically it's a 8 or 9 meets in about a 10-week stretch before you get to Birmingham for the conference championships.
Yeah, I think just get a good start in A&M. The week after that, we go to Oklahoma, different facility, different environment, to give probably a few more people an opportunity to especially in the field events. And then after that, it's Texas Tech, Houston, A&M again, and Arkansas. So, kind of when we get into February, that ball's got to be rolling. And my job, the staff's job, is just kind of to make sure that we keep nudging that ball in the right direction and build momentum all the way up to Birmingham.
Well, Coach, thank you so much for stopping by. I know you got to get ready for practice and then hopefully make it to A&M, not hopefully, but make it to A&M safely and then compete, obviously, on time. So good luck this weekend. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, thanks, Avi.
That's Coach George Pincock, track and field head coach here at East Texas A&M. We'll have one more coach joining us on this edition of Inside Line Athletics Podcast. Stay tuned. And welcome back to the Inside Line Athletics Podcast. We're now joined by men's basketball head coach Jaret von Rosenberg. Coach, 2 games at home, but against 2 teams that played for the Southland Conference Tournament Championship a year ago. So really tough opponents came in, 2 losses for the Lions.
Yeah, disappointed with yesterday. I thought we played well against McNeese. Really did some nice things offensively. Battled on the glass. I don't know if it was. We've really been practicing longer than we usually do at this time of the year because we know there's a lot of getting better that we still have to do. And I don't know if our guys if maybe we went about an hour and a half the morning of for shoot around. So I'm trying to evaluate, make sure I put our guys in the best position. I feel like we were just a step slow. We handled the ball well, only 9 turnovers. So, in 2 games in a row, we did a much better job in ball control. And so, we gotta find the positives and try to accentuate that and keep promoting that and doing that more frequently. And then, kind of eliminate the runs we're giving up because that's really where we get out of control in these games. They're tight games, and then we give up a 9-0 run, 9-2 run, and then we're essentially playing from behind the whole game. So it's not a good position to be in.
Going back to that McNeese game in that second half, you were able to get down to 12 a couple of times, and really a basket or 2 more, and it would really made things interesting from both ends to really get that game closer in that second half.
Yeah, and that's in both games. Even last night, we went on a little run in the second half, cut it to 11 or 12, something like that. The problem is we got to stay out of those scenarios where we're always playing catch up, and we will. I have no doubt that we're moving in the right direction. And we're playing better basketball, even though, it might not look like it. So guys need to stick together. It's interesting. I like being around this group. You can be miserable in this scenario, but these guys keep showing up to work, and that's all we can do at this point.
Go into this week against Northwestern State on Saturday, a team that you saw 3 times last year, twice in about 4-5 days with that 3 overtime game here in the Fieldhouse and then the tournament. So what have you seen from Northwestern team that just played Nichols last week as well, and McNeese last week?
Yeah, the Trout part. They're a good basketball team. They're a lot of new guys like us. They're athletic. They junk it up defensively. They're just tough to beat at home. So obviously they got a win against Nichols at home in this last stretch, and had a tough one against McNeese. But they're going to be coming in expecting to win. We got to play really well when you go on the road. That's where that turnovers. If we're able to take care of the basketball, that gives us a chance on the road, and that's something we want to emphasize and grow off of from this last week.
And I know knowing you're not thinking about next Monday's game against UT Rio Grande Valley, but is it going to be special for you to go back close to home? And I know you went there for an exhibition game a couple of years ago, but to go back down to South Texas.
Yeah, yeah, it's all, I mean, I enjoy South Texas where I grew up, the Valley. I won't be thinking anything about that though. I haven't even dove into them yet. Um, they're doing a great job under first year head coach. So got a lot of respect. It's going to be hard to go down there and win, and so it'll be a business trip. It's very interesting travel to go play in Louisiana, then have to come back home and then fly back to the Valley. So, but our guys will be ready. You know that I'm sure I'll have people texting me to come to the game and get tickets and stuff, and so hopefully we actually get a little bit, we get 100, 150, 200 people in the stands that are cheering for the Lions.
You touched on people in the stands. The crowds were really this past weekend, both Monday with the weather yesterday, last night, and even Saturday. It was a really good couple good crowds here in the field house to root on the Lions.
Oh, Saturday was awesome, especially considering, and Monday was good too, but Saturday was great with the kids stuff. And, we had people traveling from Rockwall, Dallas, and a lot of people coming coming out to Commerce to see us play, and both teams, men and women. Really good job by the athletic department. I know they're spearheading a lot of efforts to get people in the gym, and it's great for our guys to have a little bit of a crowd. And, if they keep showing up, we'll give them some wins that they need. But it's no students on campus. The weather like it is, it's appreciated that we're still having an opportunity to get people in the gym.
And then one last question, offensively, especially against that McNeese game in that second half, was shooting a lot better than, the little bit of a tough start. Even yet last night, what did you just attribute that to? Maybe that break played a factor a little bit?
Well, we played offensively, played well. We didn't shoot the ball well in either game. Missed 21 open threes in the McNeese game. We made some, but you miss a huge majority of some open ones you got, and then missed 8 layups. So we need to keep getting the shots. It's kind of like anything. In the second half, we shot very well against Nichols. In the first half, and I think that's a little bit. I'm going to take a little bit of that of just like maybe some tired legs. Really had 7-8 days of getting after it in practice. So I'm going to take that a little bit. They have a day off today. We'll be pretty light tomorrow, and then get prepared for this weekend. But we just got to continue playing good offense and get better defensively, and then the shots will fall, and that'll take care of itself.
Well, Coach, thank you so much for joining us. Good luck the rest of the week. Safe travels down to Natchitoches. We'll see you Saturday.
You got it. Thanks, Avi. Go Lions.
Go Lions. And now we'll do it for this week's Inside Line Athletics podcast. Thank you so much to all our coaches and Jim for joining. And just want to wish Charlie to feel better, and hopefully he can join us next week.